This episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by GameFly. Today on the show, we got an early look at some of the upcoming Nintendo games.
Okay, we just stepped out of seeing a bunch of new Nintendo stuff that'll be coming out over the next couple of months. We're here with freelance game journalist, Nintendo expert, friend of the show, Billy Berghammer.
Hello.
So Billy, we saw Zelda Skyward Sword.
Yes.
We saw Mario Kart 7. We saw Mario 3D Land. We saw Kirby. Where do you want to start?
Let's go start with Mario Kart.
Okay.
You know, one thing I think is really, really cool that they're bringing back is the coins. It's something that you noticed. Coins have not been a part of Mario Kart for a long time, and that'll hopefully, the last time I think was the Game Boy Advance Mario Kart. And that'll change things up as far as how fast your top speed is. So collecting coins, and I'm sure they're probably going to bring back what they had in the Game Boy Advance version, which is giving you a grade. At the end of the level too. So, but
that wasn't in this build at least.
No, it was not in this, build yet.
Sure,
but that would be my guess.
I had a blast playing. I feel like I haven't played a classic Mario Kart in so long. And the one thing I'll say is, I don't know about the 3D.
Really? I thought it really worked well.
It's hard because that thing, you move your head just a second and you're out of whack with it, and that, on top of the sort of fast-paced Mario Kart action, really was distracting. But as soon as I pulled that thing out, I was like, oh, this is a solid Mario Kart.
I really loved the hang glider and submarine moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the hang glider provides a really fun opportunities to sort of shortcut turns and do really cool sort of high level play.
And they sort of chance it. I'm going to try to cut this turn, but if it doesn't work, it does not.
I'm doomed.
I'm curious to see what they really do with the the customizable carts in the different vehicles. So, how that, they tried that in the Wii version, but I'm curious to see how that really changes up the gameplay this time around. But it felt like a classic Mario Kart.
Yeah, definitely.
Even with the hang gliding and everything else.
So. One game we all played together was the new Kirby Dream Land.
Yes.
We played 4-player co-op, 3 of us and one of the guys from Nintendo.
Yeah.
Man, it seems really fun. It doesn't seem quite as inventive and off the wall and different as the last Kirby. It doesn't seem to be so far outside the box like that, and we loved that. But it seems like a solid 4-player, fun.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
And some of the classic characters from Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers.
Well, it's from Kirby.
Right, but Kirby. Yeah, but.
But I love that Kirby adopting the powers. You suck enemies inside you.
Yeah.
And that sounds terrible. And then you adopt their powers. And one of the cool moments was wielding this enormous
giant sword.
Final Fantasy VII sword.
Yeah.
But it changed. It was like a fan. It was a cleaver. And
pirate sword. It was all sorts of fun stuff.
Just got the hell out of the way of that thing because you're taking everything out.
But yeah, it doesn't seem to have
the cannon hat.
It doesn't seem to have that sort of 4-player competitive cooperative thing that New Super Mario Brothers had. It's a little more purely cooperative.
Yeah, well, I mean, and there is a little bit of that. I had actually asked him and then noticed at the end, as you're getting stars, your total is going up as the group total is going up. So at the end, it is something sort of to be like, I killed this many enemies, I got this many stars. But it really is a co-op through and through, and it's super fun.
It does look really fun. It's colorful. Do you think it's kind of weird that when you die, when Pink Kirby dies, everybody dies?
Yeah, I think that's
odd,
kind of a problem because you might have to just give the controller to the most skilled person, but that kind of takes away from the 4-player part. It's like one dude dies.
It feels like you want that person to do the least risky stuff, and everybody else
stay in the back.
Yeah,
and talk about being mad. I mean, you could die 1,000 times. And you're like, whatever. I'm doing stupid things. The one time he does something, we're like, God darn it, Jeff.
Exactly.
You got to stay alive. That's episode 1.
It's odd. What else? We saw the game that blew me away. Honestly, in Mario 3D Land. I am so in love with it immediately. And we played a little at E3, but I didn't play any of the levels that we played here.
Okay.
No.
And I think they emphasized the 3D stuff so much more in the levels.
And this is where I think that the 3DS works for me. Because, yeah, you get that thing where it gets out of wonk, but you're actually looking down and seeing depth, and it really, that to me was really fun.
Yeah,
more so than even, Super Mario Star Galaxies that I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, you can really get that depth, it really works.
They're really doing a lot of interesting stuff with the camera placement. So one of the levels we played, the camera was placed sort of, not quite completely top down, but sort of tilted slightly back.
Yeah.
So you're sort of above and behind Mario, and you're constantly looking down over the edge of things, and things are way down below you. So you do these leaps of faith when and there's strings of coins that you can take all the way down. So the camera's following you as you fall. There was a moment where I bounced on something and it bounced him all the way up into a higher level above where we were. So
that's cool.
It's like going up into a vine cloud area type thing. And then there was another part where the camera was sort of 3/4 behind him and on a track, and you're controlling this platform that has a forward and a back button depending on where you're standing. And so you're sort of 3/4 behind him that way and following along, and the thing will hit a waterfall and be catapulted up to a higher track. So many
really
inventive
fun stuff,
things. There was a moment where you walk and see one of those binocular things like on the top of the Statue of Liberty, whatever.
And you actually control it with the
Gyroscope.
device, so you're looking around like this. It's a great game. So
I was not excited about it before, based on what I saw at E3, but based on what I saw here, very excited.
There's a few tweaks I hope they do make. One thing I found kind of strange is the fact that they added a run button, because you have an analog slide pad, which like the N64 version, they didn't have a run button because you had analog. So, that's my only concern, and the only other concern I have with it is some of the camera stuff seems a little too tight on Mario. And I don't know if you saw that in any of the levels that you played, but the levels that I played at E3, the camera was so tight that you couldn't always see what was the environment around you or the obstacles or enemies.
And then, of course, Zelda. So,
the Zelda.
You played a boss battle?
I did play a boss battle.
It looked like it was a little tricky.
It was. It wasn't really... Usually, Zelda games kind of give you a good hint on what you're supposed to do, and I didn't feel any of that. I mean, still...
The guys who had wrote it were giving you some good hints.
Right, but it's like...
but not really in the game.
No, but as a big Zelda fan, especially a 3D Zelda guy, I am beyond excited about this game. I mean, it's finally we're so deep into the Wii's life cycle, and we're finally getting a real Zelda game.
It looked really good.
It looks great. My only concern is it didn't look like it was much fun to play.
Well, there is a huge emphasis on gesticulating.
Watching Jeff, I was like, what I'm watching on the TV is great. I wish I could play that game and just not have to deal with sword up and shield and this and that. I mean, that stuff. And I've been a hater on that since it came out, because I'd rather be sitting back and playing like this than doing this in my living room for 5 minutes. But it really didn't look like, it looked like the challenge was you figuring out how to do that correctly rather than, your dexterity with manipulating those things rather than the challenge of where do I send it and all that stuff.
But if you're kind of into that paradigm, that's kind of a cool challenge in the sense that I really have to swing my sword. Just if I was really
if you get into the mindset of that, it might be fun, but I'm not that guy.
And think about the fact that Miyamoto said this game is going to be 50 to 100 hours.
Oh, that's insane.
You're not sitting on the couch either. No. Remember, the first thing that he told you was stand up.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll play. He's like, no, stand up.
I mean, stand up and swing your arms around for 100 hours.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're going to be doing this for 100 hours. I mean, you're obviously going to have puzzles. You're going to be navigating areas and riding the horse and blah blah blah. But
you don't think you'll be doing this while you're riding the horse?
God, you probably will. No, you probably won't be doing that. But I bet there's bow and arrow sequences like in other games.
Yeah.
You'll probably be attacking enemies while you're on the horse. I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah,
I think one of the coolest things that they mentioned was that the overworld is going to feel less like just a transition point between dungeons and more like stuff where you have things to do.
Puzzles and stuff, as side puzzles and stuff like that. And I think that's where you get your 50 to 100 hours of overall gameplay.
They said there's tons of collectible stuff.
I hope it's more like, just a really beefy like Hyrule Field from Ocarina of Time, where there's just lots of stuff to do and interesting stuff to do. Like not, here's a collecting mini game thing over here or whatever.
What did you think of the aesthetic? Because you commented on sort of emo bad guy, and it does seem a little bit like that. Yeah. I mean, it's a little, I don't know.
At this point, especially after seeing the Wii U Zelda demo, I think the art looks cool. I mean, it's an impressionistic style,
It's all like crystals and paisley colors. And,
right.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, but I think at this point it could almost feel dated. I mean, we are so.
Well, it's definitely dated.
I mean, obviously, but like we're so far into the Wii's life cycle at this point. It's like we just kind of wanted to see that in HD. It would look a hell of a lot better. I mean, shoulda, woulda, coulda at this point, but hey, it's new Zelda. We'll see how the motion and everything works, if people are actually going to get sick of it. But as I said, I'm cautiously optimistic.
It's a lot to be excited about, and we'll see over the next coming months. But we got a little sneak peek of Nintendo's slate. Let's punch it right out.
All right, everybody, be sure to stick around for a little bit more flavor of Mikey with the thing people, as it were. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just wait and you'll see. But first, our sponsor.
In the 80s, when someone said GameFly, all you would think of is what Mr. Miyagi would do to fill his time. That was a GameFly. Some sort of game with chopsticks and a fly. But today, the world has changed. GameFly is the largest online video game rental service. So screw you, Mr. Miyagi. We got a choice from over 7,000 new and classic titles from all consoles on our GameFly. The world is a new, different place. You can spend $15.95 a month, and you can play any game you can.
Games are expensive.
Not chopstick games. Although some people say the Wii is like chopstick games. Who knows? You're doing wacky, crazy stuff, trying to kill flies. They got the Wii, they got the 360, they got the PS2, they got every console, new, classic. There's no late fees, there's no due date. Shipping is always free. In that sense, it is very similar to what Mr. Miyagi did. Only in that sense, though.
Oh, no due dates and shipping's always free?
Shipping is always free
On
when you're talking about chopsticks. Because it comes right with your mushy pork.
It's true.
Shipping, free. If you really like the video game you're playing, in the GameFly service, when you've been renting it, you can play as many games as you want monthly. But if you like the game you're playing and you want to keep it forever, you can just click Keep It. And GameFly will let you pay a reduced fee to keep the game forever, ever.
Nice.
Right?
I'll lose confidence in it now.
What did you just say? I didn't hear.
I said, don't lose confidence in it now.
Oh, I'm not, baby. Mr. Miyagi wants you to go to gamefly.com/TTRS, because if he could have done it, he would have. Gamefly.com/TTRS, that stands for The Totally Rad Show. You'll get a 15-day free trial, which is really all it takes for young Daniel-san to learn to kick butt.
15 days.
And it's as long as it would take for you to learn to kick butt in your local video games.
I have this image of Jeff late at night. I'm sure you just came up with that seconds ago, but I have this image of Jeff late at night, burning the midnight oil, working, gets a knock on the door from his girlfriend, like, hey, do you want to come to? Stop it! I'm working on the GameFly ad. Mr. Miyagi, he's got a thing.
I do not get enough.
Like, what do I do? Pencil, like pacing back and forth montage, like it's like getting closer to the shoot date. I need that ad.
GameFly.
How can I connect them? We should call it this week's edition of Jeff's strained metaphor.
Amazing. Well, head
Seriously,
over
go
to,
there, though.
Yes, gamefly.com/TTRS. All right, people, we will see you tomorrow.
Check out tomorrow's show for Versus. And now, more from my interviews with the cast of The Thing. Now, you play pretty badass characters. Badass motherfuckers. And are you gonna do? You should do like a romantic, you should just be like doing a romantic comedy.
You got one for me?
No.
I love to do some kissing and cuddling on screen, trust me. I mean, even this, Derek Jameson, really, one of the reasons that I took this role was because it is a departure from what I'm known to be seen playing, which is the badass characters. This guy was an all-around nice guy. He has a sense of humor, and I think his element in the movie is about loyalty. There's a point in the movie where we turn to go back to the base, and he follows his friend. He doesn't want to, but he goes with his friend. So he's an all-around nice. Now, would I do that? Hell no. But I'm playing this guy, and I thought it was an interesting dimension. And I had 4 other movies out, and 2 of them were badass guys, and I just thought, well, it'd be nice to show a different side.